What's up, guys? I am here with Michael Pramawat, and he's got an interesting deck for us that he played at the Indy Championship with his team. We're going to take a look at it. And he actually has quite the background in the Pokemon TCG. For those of you guys that do not know him, he took second at Worlds recently. He's won 7 regionals, which are huge events with nearly 1,000 people in them, and even has an international win under his belt. So he definitely has a TCG experience, and he built a pretty cool deck that I think a lot of people are going to like to see. So let's get into it.
Sure, yeah. So the deck is Dragonholt and Fizzy. It's a Shard Beast deck, so we have 3 Shard Beasts. And then you have 3 GZ to go with it. Because GZ is like really good removal, and it also pops your towers on your terms. But it is, because it's Dragonholt, it is a dragon deck. So you have the dragon package on 1-drops. You have 3 deranged, 3 scarlet eggs, and then 3 juveniles.
Yes, that dragon package that you are pretty much forced to play.
Yes, and juvenile is like the real star of the deck here. It lets you you can attack like over 5 times in 1 turn with like maybe an empty board. It's really insane what juvenile dragon and scarlet egg lets you have access to. So booster dragon is here because this is a raging shard beast deck, so you need a bunch of 1 and 2 drops, and it also boosts. The dragons are really low attack, so it makes them be able to get over towers. Exploding Dragon is just a good sticky card. And then for the 3-drops, it's 2 Draconic Summoner. And because these are dragons, so that helps with the dragon synergy. And it kind of like pumps out Booster Dragon and Exploding Dragon, which is nice. So you get more creatures down for less mana. But there's only 2 because this is a Shard Beast deck, and you don't want to draw them.
Yeah.
Like, you don't want to draw more than 1.
Yeah, that was one of the decks that, cards I actually cut from my own deck for my Dragonholt deck that I've been playing.
Yeah, so like when you draw, if you have like 3 and then you draw like 3 of them, it's a terrible spot. And that's also a reason why there's only 1 Rao Wyvern Rider.
Ooh, only 1 Rao.
Yeah, most of the time, you never want to draw 2 of them at the same time. And when you need the 1, you can usually search for it.
Okay.
So, because by then you have a lot of mana going for you. It's not really a great turn 4 play. So you're going to do it like late game, and then so you'll have like a mana up, and then like you'll do like draw for the turn, in my draw step, Dragonholt, search for a Raven Rider, and then untap, do the rest of your turn.
Yeah.
And then the only augments this deck runs is Draconic Zone. So Draconic Zone's really good because it like Booster Dragon, it pumps the small dragons.
Yes.
Coincidentally, it also pumps Scarlet Egg on their turn, so you can block with it.
Yeah, that's something that I really never thought of when I was playing it, because you choose when you want to sack Scarlet Egg, so you can have it sit there, and it puts your opponent in a weird spot where they're afraid that you're gonna pump up unit. Like if you have the Dragon, if you just have an Argent Egg and 2 other dragons, even if they're tapped, they don't want to attack over them because they could get boosted up.
Yeah, so like if they have like failed golem number 1 and they're trying to like poke at your towers or units, you can like block it with Scarlet Egg and then pump it with Draconic Zone and actually kill their unit, which is really nice. And it also, the star effect though is to sacrifice this to get a dragon from your discard, and the targets you're going to usually get is Scarlet Egg or Juvenile Dragon.
Yeah.
Just because they're the stars of the deck.
Yes.
So then we come to spells. We found that Omega Magic Kasai was really good against aggro.
Yes.
And it's also good against the Guardians, because you get to do 1,500 to a attacker or blocking unit, and especially in like late game, you get to do 3,500 between 2 different targets or 2 both on the same. And then the same thing, removal on blockers, Molten Explosion.
Molten Explosion.
Yeah. So just removal on blockers, just so you can get your attacks through, which is really nice. And so now to the blue package, we have 2 Azure Seers. They're just 1-drops, but the effect is kind of nice. 3 Ancient Serpent's Breath, and this is like the key spell. It lets you combo really well with Juvenile Dragon.
Bounce the Juvenile, draw, get rid of their target thing that's a problem for you on the board, and then play Juvenile again. And
and it's like it clears the board, gets a tap Juvenile Dragon back in your hand so you can attack again, and that's how you're able to like combo like way over 5 attacks in one
Yes.
turn, and it's really nice. And then Wave Bender.
Ooh.
This card's really good because it's a unit, and it's also really good because it bounces their Guardian. So you can like on turn 2 play an Exploding Dragon or something, and then turn 3 they play a Guardian down, and you're like bounce it to their hand, get in with the Exploding Dragon or whatever you want.
So overall, it's just pretty much a very low curve deck where you say, I don't like Guardians, so I'm gonna get rid of them.
Yeah. So you pretty much curve out at like 5 or 6, and at that point you're gonna start shard draining.
Yes, to keep your hand up, because that is the one thing about this deck that I personally didn't really like, but I never tested blue yet. But it looks like you have a pretty solid list.
So the reason why we're running blue and not yellow is because against a lot of the control decks, the reason why they would win is because you ran out of cards to play.
Yes, exactly.
So you couldn't finish the game. You could like almost get there, and then the blue package, it has enough like pseudo removal that you can just get there, and then it helps. It just gives you enough cards to win the game.
Okay.
So yeah, and then we'll talk about the side deck. So the side deck was kind of aimed against Hoenn Sola, but the strategy against it is very fragile. So if something goes wrong, it's kind of...
So Hoenn Sola and Hoenn Fizzy were your problems? Like decks?
Hoenn Fizzy wasn't so much a problem. It's the Hoenn, it's the Yukis.
Yukis, yeah, because they can get over your stuff.
Because you're constantly trying to break towers.
Yeah.
So if they have like 2 Yukis, you have to have a way to deal with it.
Okay, so let's see it.
All right, so first you have a 3rd copy of Molten Explosion.
Yeah.
And then you have 3 Draconic Blasts. And
What does this do?
you pay 2, and then you can exhaust dragons on the field. And then you do X times the amount of dragons you exhausted to 2 targets.
So I'm going to be honest. This is one of the cards that I saw in the structure deck that I thought was absolutely terrible.
Yeah, well, it's fine for this it's fine for this strategy because the strategy is more controlled based. So the idea is like you can play like 2 Deranges and a Scarlet Egg, and then on 5, and then like do 3,000 damage to like block any units you want, 2 units you want, and then the Scarlet Egg, and it's really good the more Scarlet Eggs you have because you can type Scarlet Egg for it, and then you can sack the you can
need.
exactly. So then here's the cool part of the blue package.
Oh boy,
you have 3 Juggernauts.
Juggernauts, okay.
So the idea was if you can ever draw 2 of these against Hoenn Sola, you actually just win. They can't get over 2 with the extra removal. So you have once you get a Juggernaut out, it kind of like stalls the board out, and then you have time to just like hit the removal and then slowly poke at their towers until you build up a kill turn of Juvenile Dragon.
Huh.
And that's the idea.
That's pretty cool.
And then to kind of slow the game down, you have 2 Guardians as your Guardians, and you cut the Seers for those just to make it more bouncy. And you cut the Wave Benders for the Juggernauts for that matchup. And then 2 Reactive Runes, and this is more for like control decks. But it's like okay.
Okay.
I used it a few times, but not part of the star package for like this is. And then the 1 Argent Egg. Sometimes you want to like lower your curve, so the Argent Egg is kind of nice.
Okay, so what would you change about this deck after this tournament, after seeing kind of where the meta is right now?
I think I underestimated how much Hoenn Sola there was going to be. It seems like anyone who just didn't want to play Aragon was just like, I'm going to play Hoenn Sola and then go for it.
Yeah,
and
that
was a
matchups.
mismeta read. But this deck does, especially in tournament, have a pretty good Aragon matchup.
Oh, really?
Yeah, Aragon.
So it's almost like you geared it to beat Aragon.
Pikes specifically.
Okay.
Aragon Fizzy, because they're
the
more...
rogue deck of the gods that just pretty much destroy everybody.
Aragon Fizzy, I wasn't expecting, but that deck, Aragon Fizzy is like, they have way more spell removal, way more...
You get access to both the spells and the units in their discard.
Exactly, so like they can go like Infinite Mayu on Chronostasis, and if that happens like you can get through like a couple Chronostasis, but like eventually you just run out of stuff. And you can't really stop them from doing it. So you really on a really aggressive clock against that deck, which is tough.
Okay, so one last question before we let you go.
Sure.
how do you feel about Irgon? Do you think that it needs a ban? Like, what do you think at this moment of the game?
I think Aragon is inherently too good. Any deck that creates infinite loops is kind of degen for like card games in general.
I think the problem is it might just be a little bit too early for its own time. Having an effect like that is pretty gross in set 1, where we can assume maybe things will speed up in the future, making control not as overpowering.
Well, one of the problems is purple is really good, and like the cards in general are just super good in purple, and then Aragon also happens to be in that color, so you get all these powerful effects, and then you kind of get them in an infinite loop.
Yeah, you really do, yeah.
And so that's really the problem.
And then Kite's like mixed with that lets you just abuse the living crap out of like the best card in the best solo unit.
Yeah,
like,
so like Sylph is really good, but Sylph is like pretty good when you can just but if it dies, then you're like, what? Well, I guess I can't do this anymore. The problem is Aragon brings it back from the discard, and even if you deal with the
Sylph. I had a game where I got my face beaten by Sylvia, by an Aragon Kite player, because it was in the situation where he didn't want to kite it back because I could Dust Strike it, but if I killed it on the board, even on my turn, he just stacks it. So there's literally no, and I just let it break like 2-3 towers because there was no out that I had. I didn't have a Transfiguration Master in my deck at the time, so it didn't. That was the big switch for me for
and then like they can still like combo it away with like if they also have Great Hawk, so they can be like Sylph, Great Hawk, target Sylph, return it, and then if you target Sylph, then they can Kite to bring it back.
It's just a whole lot.
It's just a whole lot, and like it's fine if mono green does it, or just green decks in general, but it's a problem when you have Aragon doing it. Yeah. Because like the whole thing is it's a legendary unit, and it's hard
in a green deck, you Dust Strike, you kill it once and it's done.
And then there's a fairly good chance you'd never even draw it.
Yeah, exactly.
Whereas Aragon is just like
speeds you to it and then lets you just repeatedly play it.
Exactly. So I think that's the problem. Is Aragon is too consistent, and for its effect.
Ban it for the time, or
I would say it's just kind of. I would say that card limits card design.
Yeah.
So I would get rid of for that because it kind of crowds out cool decks.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I think we had. I don't know the exact number, but I believe it was above 10 in the top 16 were at least Aragon decks. So.
Yeah.
Okay, well, thank you very much for your time and showing us this awesome Dragonholt Fizzy deck.
Yep.
Yeah. Peace out, guys. Bye.